Why do so many women seem to lose themselves after 40? The loyal wife turns restless. The nurturing mother suddenly feels trapped. Families that looked solid begin to collapse. Most men call it madness, but it's not random. It's a psychological shift every man needs to understand. Because if you don't, her transformation will feel like betrayal. And if you do, you'll finally see the truth about women over 40. Let's begin. Most men don't see it coming. For years, maybe even decades, life feels predictable. She's the dependable wife, the nurturing mother, the one holding the house together. Sure, there are arguments and ups and downs, but nothing outside the ordinary. Then one day, it changes. She changes. It's subtle at first. The way she looks at you feels different. The way she talks has an edge, a sharpness. The warmth that once flowed so naturally seems to have cooled. You ask what's wrong, and she says nothing. But her energy tells you everything. Something deep inside her has shifted. To the outside world, she's still the same woman. But behind closed doors, you start to feel like you're living with a stranger. She's restless, easily irritated, and distant. Suddenly she wants space. She wants freedom. She wants something more. The routines and sacrifices she once accepted without question now feel unbearable to her. This is the moment where most men shake their heads and say, "She's gone crazy." They can't explain it, so they label it. But what they're witnessing isn't madness. It's the first ripple of a psychological storm that comes for so many women in their 40s. The reason it feels so sudden is because men often miss the signs. For years, she may have been quietly suppressing her own desires, shelving her ambitions, and pouring herself into the family. And now, as the children grow older or independence creeps in, she looks at her life and asks, "Is this all there is? What about me?" That's the dangerous part. It doesn't unfold gradually in your eyes. For her, it's been building for years, layer by layer. For you, it explodes all at once. One day, she seems fine. The next, she's pulling away, questioning everything, maybe even questioning the marriage itself. This is why so many men feel blindsided. They think everything was stable until suddenly it's not. They assume she woke up one morning and went insane, when in reality, she's been simmering under the surface. And 40 is the trigger point. You'll hear her say things like,
"I don't know who I am anymore. I've spent my whole life for everyone else."
These aren't random outbursts. They're symptoms of the shift. And if you dismiss it as just a phase, you're already losing. Because what you're facing is not temporary. It's not something she'll simply snap out of. It's the opening act of a midlife transformation that will either strengthen her or completely destroy the relationship. This is the sudden shift. This is where the story begins. Behind every dramatic shift in behavior, there's a biological clock ticking quietly in the background. For women, turning 40 isn't just another birthday. It's a threshold, a reminder that time is no longer on their side. In her 20s and 30s, her body's energy is geared toward fertility, family, and nurturing. She's swimming in estrogen and progesterone, the hormones of bonding, patience, and care. But as she approaches her 40s, the chemistry begins to change. Hormonal levels decline, cycles become irregular, and the body whispers a new message. You're entering a different stage. This shift doesn't just affect her physically, it rewires her emotionally. The soothing hormones that once encouraged her to tolerate, to nurture, to sacrifice, start to fade. What takes their place? Restlessness, urgency, a hunger to reclaim herself before it's too late. Men notice the surface, mood swings, irritability, emotional distance. But underneath, there's a powerful psychological current. She's looking at her reflection and realizing that the girl inside her is slipping away. Wrinkles, gray hairs, slowing metabolism. All these become daily reminders of mortality. And with mortality comes the question, what have I done with my life? This is why you'll see women in their 40s chasing experiences with almost teenage intensity. Some suddenly dive into fitness, fashion, travel, or careers. Others take darker turns. Affairs, addictions, reckless spending. It's not random. It's biology pressing the gas pedal while whispering, if you don't live now, you never will. And here's where the real tension begins. A man may see stability as success, the home, the marriage, the routine. To him, this is proof of loyalty and love. But to her biology, stability in her 40s can feel like a prison. Her hormones aren't pushing her to settle anymore. They're pushing her to escape, to redefine herself. That's why so many men get blindsided. He thinks she's ungrateful, irrational, even insane. But in her mind, she's fighting extinction. She's fighting the fear that she gave her youth to everyone else and left nothing for herself. The biological shift magnifies the emotional void she may have ignored for decades. This is not a minor phase, it's a crossroad. If her energy gets channeled into growth, building a new purpose, strengthening bonds, creating something lasting, she can thrive. But if it's channeled into chaos, it can rip families apart. And here's the dangerous truth. Biology doesn't care about your marriage vows. Biology only cares about survival and legacy. If she feels that staying in the same role suffocates her, the pressure builds until something breaks. This is why understanding her biology is critical. Without it, all you'll see is madness. With it, you'll recognize the storm for what it really is: nature forcing a woman to evolve. Every storm has been brewing long before the first lightning strike. The sudden rebellion you see in women over 40 isn't born in a single year. It's the result of decades of silent sacrifice, swallowed words, and deferred dreams. For many women, the first half of adulthood is lived for others. She gives herself to the husband, the children, the household. Her time, her energy, her body, all poured out like an offering. And on the surface, she accepts it. She cooks, she cleans, she comforts, she organizes birthdays, she smooths over arguments, she wears the mask of devotion. But underneath that mask, resentment builds every time she put aside her own ambitions for the sake of the family. Every time she swallowed anger to keep the peace. Every time she felt unseen, unappreciated, or taken for granted. These wounds don't vanish. They accumulate, they harden, they wait. By the time she reaches her 40s, the mask begins to crack. She looks back and realizes, half my life is gone. The opportunities she once believed she'd come back to, they're no longer waiting. The dreams she thought she could postpone, many are now out of reach. And the man beside her, the one who was supposed to notice her sacrifices, suddenly feels like a symbol of everything she lost. This is why so many men are blindsided. They think, but I provided. I was loyal. I did my part, and maybe they did. But in her mind, she carried the invisible weight. She was the emotional anchor, the silent manager, the one who kept the whole house afloat. And when she feels that this labor was unacknowledged, it curdles into bitterness. That bitterness is dangerous. It doesn't always come out in direct words. Often, it shows itself in subtle ways: the sarcastic remarks, the dismissive tone, the loss of affection, a smile that no longer reaches the eyes, nights spent scrolling instead of talking, or, in its most destructive form, the search for validation outside the marriage, through attention, affairs, or reckless behavior. At this stage, it's not just hormones pushing her. It's history. It's the ghost of every small betrayal she felt, but never spoke about. And when these ghosts rise to the surface, they don't whisper, they scream. To the man, it looks like madness. To her, it feels like justice. She believes she has earned the right to demand more, to take back what she gave up, to rewrite the story. And that belief fuels her transformation. This is the hidden resentment, the silent ledger she's been keeping, line by line, for 20 years. Most men never see it until the bill comes due. And when it does, the cost is almost always more than they imagined. Resentment doesn't stay silent forever. At some point, the pressure finds a release. And when it does, the family feels the shockwave. This is why so many households crumble right as women enter their 40s. It often begins subtly. She withdraws emotionally, becomes distant, and starts protecting her time more fiercely. Nights once spent with her husband turn into nights out with new friends. Conversations that used to flow turn into silence or sharp arguments. The home is still intact, but its foundation is cracking. Then comes the search for escape. For some women, that escape is harmless. A new career path, travel, hobbies, or a social life that finally feels like her own. But for others, the escape becomes destructive. Affairs, secret spending, reckless indulgences, even abandoning responsibilities at home. To the husband, it feels like betrayal. To her, it feels like survival. She convinces herself, I gave my life to this family. Now it's time to live for me. This is the stage where men feel the rug pulled out from under them. They thought their marriage was solid. They thought the sacrifices they made, working long hours, providing stability, would hold everything together. But the rules have changed. She's no longer satisfied with stability. She craves intensity, freedom, and validation. And the fallout can be brutal. Children caught in the middle, watching their mother transform before their eyes. Husbands left questioning their own worth, blindsided by divorce papers or sudden confrontations. Entire families split apart, not because of one single event, but because years of unspoken tension finally erupted. Affairs are the most common explosion. For a woman in her 40s, an affair isn't always about sex. It's about feeling seen, desired, alive again. She's chasing the spark she feels has died at home. To the man, it looks like madness. To her, it feels like resurrection. Other times, the fallout takes the shape of total detachment. She doesn't cheat. She simply checks out. She stops investing in the relationship. She focuses only on herself. The marriage becomes an empty shell, a business partnership at best. The most devastating fallout, though, is when she decides to walk away entirely. Divorce rates spike during this stage of life for a reason. She's convinced she deserves a second chance at happiness, and she's willing to burn the old life to create it. From the outside, it looks like destruction, and it is. Families unravel. Generations are scarred. But from her perspective, this isn't destruction. It's liberation. She believes she is finally reclaiming the years she lost. This is why so many men say, she went crazy and broke the family apart. But the truth is colder. She didn't go crazy. She followed the path her biology and resentment had been pushing her toward for years. The fallout isn't sudden. It's the natural consequence of everything that came before. For men, the worst mistake is dismissing this shift as just craziness. It's not temporary. It's a deep transformation that every woman eventually faces. Ignore it, and you'll be blindsided. This is the moment where a man must decide: fight against it or learn to understand it. Fighting means resentment, endless arguments, and often the collapse of the marriage. Understanding means seeing her not as an enemy, but as someone wrestling with biology, history, and identity all at once. But make no mistake, if you close your eyes to this reality, she will walk away. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. The warning is simple. Don't confuse her transformation for madness. Recognize it for what it is, a test of her and a test of you. Fail it and you lose everything. Pass it and you might witness her most powerful years unfold right beside you.